September is my favorite time to be in the national parks. So today I want to share where you'll find me during the month of September if you're looking for an epic national park vacation. My name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. And today we are talking all about the best national parks to visit during the month of September. I just love September in the national parks. It's the best. It is so fantastic. So today we're going to talk about my favorite parks. But I have a whole list for you of the national parks by the month. I have every month broken down so you can see we have so many options during some of these months. Here's September. There are actually 43 really great options for national parks to visit during this month. Jump over to dirtinmyshoes.com/month to get this free list of all the best parks to visit during every month of the year. I've got you covered. So jumping into September. What I love about September in the national parks is for a lot of national parks, it's still considered mostly peak season. So a lot of things are still open. You can still do all the activities. You'll still have the amenities of the hotels and campgrounds and things like that. Those should still be up and running for the most part in most national parks. But the crowds do change. In years past, it used to get way less crowded in September. I would say that's not really true anymore for a lot of parks. A lot of these parks do stay feeling pretty busy, but there is a noticeable shift in just the crowds and the enjoyment levels of the people who are in the parks during September. So I love the vibe of being in the parks in September. It's a great time to visit some of these bigger, more popular national parks at a slightly less busy time. But what I want to focus on today for my first selection of parks that I want to talk about is parks that are just, I think, way too hot. The weather is just not fun during the summer. But when you start getting into September and more into the fall temperatures, it makes the park so much better. Okay, so during the month of September, I love to road trip to all of the Utah national parks. So I'm just going to kind of lump these into one selection, but let's talk about it because this really truly is my favorite time to be in the Utah national parks. I'm a Utah native, so I'm in the parks all the time through various months of the year. I've been to the parks in every season, and I would say that September, especially like mid-September towards the beginning of October, is one of my favorite times to be in these Utah parks. So the Utah parks are Arches, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, and Zion. And you can road trip to all 5 of these. I suggest about 10 days. That's kind of the sweet spot. If you can give yourself 14, that's even better. You can do it in less, but it's a lot. You're not spending very much time in each park if you do it that way. So 10 days is great, but you can road trip around the state. You can either fly into Salt Lake City or Las Vegas and then hit those Utah parks, and you can do all 5 in one trip, which is really cool. So why I love September here is because these Utah parks do get super hot, especially Zion and Arches, I would say are kind of the most uncomfortable temperatures during the summer months. And so you typically will basically never find me here during the summer. I hate being in those 100+ degree temperatures trying to hike and sightsee, and that's just not my preference. When you get into September, you're like more in the 80s. It's a little bit nicer. It's still really great hiking weather and everything is open. So you can road trip all 5 of these parks. The weather should be really good for you. The other reason I really like September is because Zion is one of my favorite national parks to visit, but it does get really hot. It does get really busy. September's a little bit better for that. The fall is also my favorite time to be hiking the Narrows. So if you're wanting to do the Narrows in Zion, the water levels are lower. It's easier to hike. It's less busy than the summer months, but fall really is the perfect time to hike the Narrows. So that's another reason to visit this park in September. Now, I mentioned some of the Utah parks that get really hot. The other thing, and what you'll run into when you're trying to road trip all 5 Utah national parks, is you do have some colder Utah parks that are at higher elevations. So, Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef, particularly, are the ones that you're going to run into some more iffy weather if you go in the shoulder seasons to these parks. And so, September again is kind of just right in that sweet spot where it's before winter really descends on these other parks, before it gets really cold, before you'll start hitting road closures and things like that as the winter comes in. So there's a lot of ins and outs to road tripping the Utah National Parks, but I have so much information for you on this. We have a podcast episode on Exploring the National Parks podcast that walks through a 10-day Utah road trip. I also have individual information for all of these parks. So be sure to go over to dirtinmyshoes.com. You can click on national parks. You see that I have all these national parks right here. You can click on those and get more information for planning your trip. Okay, so the other road trip that I love taking in September is through all 4 Colorado national parks. So I'm keeping you in the West here, but it is a really fun time to go visit these Colorado national parks. They're incredibly diverse. There's a lot of different things that go into each park, weather-wise and activity-wise. And September is a really good time to go to these parks to be able to do everything, and to get in there, again, before the winter weather starts moving into some of these parks, and to beat the heat of the summer in some of these other parks. So the 4 Colorado parks that you're going to want to hit are Black Canyon of the Gunnison, Mesa Verde, Great Sand Dunes, and Rocky Mountain. Black Canyon and Rocky Mountain are your more seasonal parks. These are ones that are going to get hit with some cooler temperatures and snow as possible in September in Rocky Mountain, but it really doesn't start to come and stay until October, November. So in September, you can go to Rocky, you can hear the elk bugling, you can see all the beautiful fall colors. This is actually my very favorite time to be in Rocky Mountain National Park. It is phenomenal. I love September in this park. And so that's a perfect time to go there. And as I mentioned, Black Canyon of the Gunnison, that one's a little bit more seasonal as well. That's a smaller park that a lot of people don't know about, but it's a really cool one to visit. You can then drive the $1 Million Highway from Black Canyon down to Mesa Verde. Absolutely awesome drive, but again, because of the high elevation, you are going to want to get in there before the winter weather starts moving in, usually sometime in October. So that's something to keep in mind. But then you'll hit Mesa Verde National Park, which in September, they're still running their ranger tours. You can still get in there and do all the really cool things in Mesa Verde. And then you can head to Great Sand Dunes, and Great Sand Dunes really is much better if you don't go in the middle of the summer, because that sand gets so hot in the sun and it's really hard to enjoy being in the sand when it's burning your feet, and it can be kind of miserable sometimes. So again, I like this one better in the shoulder seasons so that you're not dealing with the heat of the sand. And so September is the perfect time to be in Great Sand Dunes as well. Okay, so 2 perfect road trips to take during the month of September if you're wanting to hit a lot of national parks. You can just cross those off your list really quick. You can get to a lot of parks in a shorter amount of time as you road trip through either the Utah or Colorado parks. Be sure to pick up a national park trip itinerary for all of these parks. You can get in here, you can get my help planning your trip so that you don't have to do it alone. And then definitely don't forget to sign up for that free National Parks by the Month list so that you can see the best parks to visit during every month, including a whole bunch more that I think are perfect to visit during the month of September. I can't wait for you to take your trip. I hope you get some dirt in your shoes, and I hope that you have an epic time in the national parks during the month of September.